Overall observation is that the paper was not too difficult, not too easy, but in my opinion, it's a good scoring paper. So a total of 130 marks out of 250 has come from geography and related sections. So that makes the overall scoreability of the paper higher. We can very clearly see that the questions are neither too easy nor too difficult. It is at a moderate level. So along with the static part, NCRTs and few basic textbooks, we need to integrate the current affairs. Hello everyone. I was just going through today's paper of GS1 from 2025 Civil Services Main. And so I wanted to share my first impressions on the geography section through this video. Overall, I can say as a geography faculty, I'm very happy with the nature of the questions and the overall weightage and the pattern in which it has been asked. And the overall observation is that the paper was not too difficult, not too easy, but in my opinion, it's a good scoring paper and a bit challenging also. But if you have done well, if you have prepared well, so you can score really well in this GS1. So with the help of geography section. So I would like to put my observations in 5 different headings. The first one is weightage. So talking about the weightage, we have nearly a total of 8 questions, which is completely exclusively from geography, core geography part, not overlapping with any other sections, amounting to nearly 100 marks. Okay, so and 100 out of 250. And in addition, there are 2 more questions which are overlapping between geography and society. Okay, so that is each question of 15 mark each. And so that was the question on the fast food industry. So I can say it is related to the industrial factors. And the another question was about the sustainable growth and the environmental conservation. So this is definitely the topic of environmental geography. So this overlaps between geography and society as such. We can say the social geography aspect, right? So a total of 130 marks out of 250 has come from geography and related sections. So that makes the overall scoreability of the paper higher. Okay, that's why I said I'm very happy with this paper. So because a person who has done a good effort will be able to score well. Okay, so talking about the nature of the questions. So here there were a good number of questions coming from the core traditional static part of geography. Okay, so I could identify nearly 4 questions. A question on tsunami, which was highly predictable considering the recent Russian tsunami. In fact, I had even suggested this in my last video on the final tips that this is a very predictable question. And it was very simple and straightforward question, the tsunami question. And then there was a question on plate tectonics, how the tectonic movements causes the changes in the size of the oceanic basin and the continents. Okay, that is a very direct question from the plate tectonics. You have understood plate tectonics, you can easily answer it. And then there was also a question on the solar energy, a very predictable part on the natural resources economic geography aspect, because India has been doing wonderful job in expanding the solar energy capacity. One more predictable question was on the climate change, the impact of climate change and on the island nations. This has been again a question area which is predictable considering the recent issues related to the climate change, and there was always a question on the global warming or climate change or the sea level rise in the last few years. Okay, so these questions make the entire geography section, I identified 4 questions, so they make the entire section easier to approach. So other than this, few of the questions appear to be a little bit tricky. Okay, so but if you attempt them with a calm and composed mind, so definitely it is not that tricky. We have had very difficult questions earlier in geography, and this year I don't find them to be at that level. Okay, so what are those tricky questions? There was a question on non-form primary activities. Okay, so this topic is directly from the syllabus. If you see in the syllabus in geography, there's economic activities describing the primary, secondary, tertiary. In primary, of course, we have to understand what is a primary and what are the different types of primary economic activities. Other than agriculture, there is mining, there is fishing, even the hunting, gathering. All of these are the non-form primary activities. If you understand this much, you will be able to tackle this. The question is not difficult beyond this level. Okay, therefore it appears tricky, but it's not too difficult. In addition, there was also a question on the distribution pattern of offshore oil resources, right? So there again, they are not asking you to, so go into two intricacies of offshore and onshore. They are basically asking about the distribution of offshore oil, so away from the land, and what are the factors which decides them. You have the basic idea, you will be able to tackle this. You have to think little bit with a calm mind. In addition, the question on the population distribution in the northern Gangetic plains, it appears like again out of the syllabus, out of the box. Okay, trust me, this is not. So I had again suggested in the last few years there was increased emphasis on the population aspect, social geography aspect. Okay, last year there was a question on demographic winter, and this year the question was directed towards the population distribution. Okay, this is again the core part of social geography, which usually students neglect this. We have to give some emphasis on this. Okay, so the recent trend identifies this. Fine. So, and that is not a too difficult question. If you understand the geographical factors which impact the distribution of population, you get the answer here. In fact, the most tricky question in this entire geography section was how AI and drones, in addition to the existing GIS and the remote sensing systems, will be used. In that context, there was a question. Okay, so if you ask me, there was a traditional topic of geography. This was a traditional topic of geography talking about the remote sensing, GIS, GPS. Okay, but however, we don't study this as the traditional part of geography because there was no question asked till now, and suddenly out of nowhere this has been put. Okay, but still I would consider this is not a very difficult question because anyway you have to study about this in your science and technology, GS3. Okay, so traditionally part of geography, but we don't study in GS1, but you would definitely study in GS3. And UPSC always brings some of the topics from other papers into, so this paper. Fine, this is one such question. You understand this, think about the question in a calm manner, definitely you will be able to answer this. You just have to link the AI, drones, remote sensing and GIS. You just have the basic idea of what is a geographical information system, what is a remote sensing. With that, you will make an answer. So these were the core part of geography questions. In addition, I said there are two more questions on social geography aspects. Okay, so there was a question on the fast food industry, and this question appears like not a traditional geography industrial location question. But if you think calmly, so any industry depends upon certain particular locational factors. You have to apply the same here also. What are the factors responsible for increase in fast food industry in India? Okay, whether it is the supply of raw material or increase in the demand, or increase in the levels of income, the capacity of the urban population. Okay, so all of these factors, if you consider, you will be able to link it. Okay, in spite of health issues, why we are seeing an increase? Of course, there is a social angle to it. You need to link both geography and society here. Same is the case with the sustainable growth and environmental conservation as well as the needs of poor. So that is a classic question where we debate between the economic growth and sustainable development. Right, so you can discuss this as social angle or environmental angle. So you need to integrate both, right? So this is an overlapping area, and so considering the last few years of papers, I have already said that earlier in my earlier analysis also, we need to integrate our study of geography with other sections, both economic as well as society as well as environmental aspects, right? So this year's paper is the best example how the cross integration has happened. Fine, this is the second aspect I told you regarding the nature of questions. Third, about the difficulty level. So considering this entire analysis, we can very clearly see that the questions are neither too easy nor too difficult. It is at a moderate level. Okay, so it is at that moderate level. If at all you have done some effort, you can answer it easily. Fine, and it will not come very easily. It is not a very simple and straightforward questions. The fourth aspect is about the sources. Okay, so yes, the traditional only NCERT approach is not sufficient here. You need to go a little bit beyond NCERTs. You should have a comprehensive notes, if at all you had a class notes or any kind of prepared material, that will be going to be very much helpful here. So a complete, thorough, comprehensive approach is very much required. So along with the static part, NCERTs and few basic textbooks, you need to integrate the current affairs. And most importantly, the answer rating aspect is very much important because many of the questions are not very direct. And so most of them you have to think and write an answer then and there. If you had practice, definitely this is not a difficult part. It would be very easy. You need some practice here. And the fifth aspect is scoreability. So if you ask me how the scores are going to be in GS1, my prediction is it is going to be slightly higher compared to other GS papers because geography as a subject is little bit static and little bit predictable. So if at all you had done some answer rating practice along with this, so definitely you can score high here. So geography score will definitely boost the score in GS1 and that I'm expecting to increase the cutoff also. So this is my first take. I hope all of you who have appeared for the 2025 mains have done well, and I wish you all the best to the other papers. And we will soon conduct a detailed discussion session on this. So see you all there. Thank you.